Hi there, look at you, you look great. I'm really glad you're here because I wanted to show you my workflow for round tripping between Avid Media Composer and Davinci Resolve. Now when I say round trip, what I mean is I want to take an edited sequence in Avid Media Composer, here's mine, and I want to take that sequence and move it over to Davinci Resolve. I want all my edits to remain intact when it gets to Davinci, and I want it referencing my original footage and everything. And then in Davinci, I want to grade that stuff, render my grades, and bring the graded footage back into Avid Media Composer and reconnect it with my original sequence, so that we'll go from this raw footage, which looks terrible, to a sequence that is using graded footage, but still has the edits intact, still remembers, like, you know, crossfades and things like that. It's really useful to do it that way, and I want to show you how, because I'm kind of new to Avid still, and it took me a while to figure out, so hopefully this helps you. So to get started, I want to take a look at this edited sequence and talk about how I set it up. This is footage using sample footage from Blackmagic's website. They have a bunch of Area Alexa stuff that's it's 1080p, 24 frames that you can download for free to play around with. And it was obviously shot logarithmically because it looks all flat and terrible right now. So we need to apply that LUT, that lookup table, to undo that and other stuff. I also am using 2 video tracks just to show how versatile this workflow is. You don't have to do any crazy like merging down to one track or anything. And finally, you know, before we move on, I want to show you I want to show you this sequence because I think it's really compelling. It's a really good piece of art. This found footage I've cut. I really tried to make a statement about like the basic struggles between, you know, humans and nature. So, I mean, I think it's really powerful stuff here. We start, you know, we just have nice fish and ducks, and they're just hanging out, and they're great. We cut into those ducks, and they're by a harbor. You can see the harbor there. And then we pull out, and look, there's a harbor, and there's people around here, and they kind of represent like humanity, like evil humanity looming over nature. And then it gets even worse. Now we're in this devil town, and there's like some guy, you don't know what he's up to, and then it's even worse. This is Las Vegas, just like evilness here. And look at this, swarms of people. Now check this out. I thought this was really innovative, and it's like a stark juxtaposition here. We've got the swarms of people, and then we fade into the swarm of fish, and then back again to the swarm of people. And I think that kind of makes you think, like, you know, how different are we really? Is there a difference? So that's what I want my audience to leave thinking, and I think this is a really effective way of showing it. And I'm gonna hit like Sundance and Tribeca and everything, but first we definitely need to grade this footage. So that wasn't even funny, but so we're gonna get started now. Here's my sequence in my bin. It's called Raw Edit, and I want to export this as an AAF file. So I'm gonna right click it and choose Export down here. And for export settings, we want to link to audio and video, but let's go to options because I've changed some stuff around. So we want to export as AAF, as I said. If you're using AMA footage, you'll need to enable this AAF edit protocol, or you won't be able to export. I am not, though. This footage I've imported as DNxHD, so I don't need to use that. Next, I'm opting to include all video tracks in the sequence because, you know, that's the whole point. I've unchecked include all audio. You don't have to do that. You can leave that checked, but Davinci won't bring in any audio from your AAF, even if you have this checked, so it's not really, you know, important. For your export method, you want to choose link to media because we don't want to you know, make copies or transcode or anything. We just want the original footage. Along the same lines, we don't want to render video effects or transcode video at all. So I'll click save there, and I'll just save this to my desktop. I'll call it from Avid. It's almost as if I ran through this before. And then click save. So that's all we're doing in Media Composer for the time being. So I'm gonna switch over to Resolve. Here's my login screen. I'll log in. And I'm gonna create a new project down here. I'm gonna click add. And for project name, I'm gonna call this something like tutorial grade. Remember what you called it, and I'll show you why in a second. So I'm gonna click create, and now we want to, you know, apply the correct settings here. That footage was 1080p 24, so I'm going to set it to do that for the right frame rate and everything. We can skip browse in this workflow. If you were doing an offline edit and now you want to conform and grade your online footage, you would have to add your online footage to the media pool first, but I'm skipping that, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then just skip it too. So now over to the conform tab, we're going to go to timeline management and click load. And this is where we load that AAF that we just exported. So I'm going to click open. And then we have this load AAF dialog. You can choose to automatically set project settings. I'm choosing to automatically import source clips into Media Pool because, again, I want to grade the same footage that I was editing with. If you want to grade different footage, like online footage, you would not check that, but, you know, just check it. Who cares? Click OK. So now I'm going to locate where my original clips are. My clips, as I said, they're all DNX HD, they're MXF, so they're going to reside in the Avid Media Files folder. So I'm going to click OK. But if you were linking to AMA footage, it would, you know, find where the actual clips are on your hard drive. Okay, so now it has loaded and conformed our clips. You'll see that there's actually our edited sequence right here, including like even the cross dissolves. The cross dissolves made it over. If you can see there, cross dissolve. Our edits, they all look good. They're all in order. There's that Devil Town, and then oh, the debauchery. We have that V2. It's all intact. It all looks great, and it fades out. It's perfect. I'm happy with it. If it's weird, you can use your editing tools down here to make some final corrections, but that complicates things slightly. So, you know, don't edit in this. Don't do a ton of editing. So now I'm gonna go over to color, and we can actually start grading. Here's our footage again, the cross dissolve, and the second video track. Since this video isn't really meant to be like how to grade stuff, I'm just going to do a sort of a one light thing and apply that Alexa log C lookup table to everything. So that looks better. It still obviously needs some work. Let's check out our waveform here. Some of this stuff, this looks terrible still. It's like really blown out. I don't know. I'm not gonna like do a bunch of stuff. Well, that's better, all right. Anyway, we'll call this graded. I'm gonna go to, we're gonna render it now. So I'm gonna hit session and then render. And now we have your, you know, the render settings. I'm gonna make sure you have your in and out point set correctly for the whole thing. For easy setup, Davinci comes with an Avid AAF round trip easy setup, and that's really good to use for this. That'll set most of your settings for you. You want to make sure your frame rate is correct. Output type, I'm going to render to, yeah, a DNX HD 115 8-bit, because I'm not planning on doing any more crazy manipulation with the video at this point. One thing I do want to point out is this handles. I usually like to add a couple seconds of handles on either side of my rendered clips. So since we're at 24 frames, I've chosen to use 48 frame handles for 2-second handles on either side of each clip. This gives you just a little more freedom. When you get back to Media Composer, you can expand your edits a little bit, just so you're not completely locked in. Finally, for destination path, since we're using MXF, DNxHD, we want to put those back into our Avid Media Files folder inside the MXF, and then you can put it in any of these numbered folders or create a new one or whatever. So I'm going to click OK. And everything is set up so we can hit render. Okay, so our render is almost done. So we're done with Davinci at this point. We're going to go back over to Media Composer. We're still using our ungraded sequence at this point. I want to create a new bin, and I'll just call this, just for organization, I'll call this graded footage. Okay. So now we're going to go to the Media tool, because now we're going to bring our graded footage into Media Composer. So go to Tools, Media Tool, and if you'll remember, I'm going to switch over to Davinci for a second. When we created the project, I named this tutorial grade, but you can name it whatever you want. Whatever you named your project in Davinci, in Resolve, you'll see that project name show up in your Avid projects list, which I think is a nice touch. So I'm going to click OK. And here is our graded footage. And if you take a look at the comments, you'll see it also added graded by Resolve next to each video clip, which makes it easier to find if you have a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm just going to drag this over into my graded footage bin. And let's take a look at this stuff, just to make sure. There's our graded footage. Compare it to this. That's better. Still needs some work, but This was the point where I was stuck for like weeks because as I said before, I was new to Avid, and I didn't realize that in order to reconnect, clips to a sequence, the new clips that you're trying to connect have to belong to the same tape that the old clips belong to. So we need to set that, because right now, if we take a look at our ungraded footage, the stuff we edited with, if we take a look at the tape column right here, it's totally blank. These clips don't belong to a tape at all. So I'm going to select all our original clips, right-click them, and choose Modify. And then we get this little Modify dialog. I'm going to choose Set Source. This is how you set your tape for any kind of a clip. It has created a new tape for us, and I'll just call this Alexa. You can name it anything, it doesn't matter. And I'll click OK. And then you're confirming that you're changing the tape name to Alexa. Hit OK a bunch of times, it'll do whatever. So now if we check out our tape column, right there, these clips all belong to Alexa now. So let's go over to our graded footage and check out the tape column. Again, it's blank. So I'm going to select them all, right-click them, and hit Modify. And again, change the set source. But now we have this Alexa tape in the list, so I'm going to select it, click OK, and confirm that we're changing it to Alexa. So now if you check the tape column on both of these, all of these clips, both the raw and the graded, belong to Alexa, and that's what we want. So now we can actually reconnect this footage. I'm going to select all the new footage, the graded footage, and also the sequence that we want to reconnect this footage to. Right-click the sequence and choose Relink. Now we get this Relink dialog, and it looks scary to me because I'm new to Avid, but you can choose a bunch of different things, but since we highlighted all of these clips, these new clips, we can just choose selected items in all open bins. So we're relinking this sequence to the selected clips. Also, I'm checking down here, create new sequence. So this will leave this sequence intact the way it was. It'll create a new sequence with the relinked graded clips. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, so now it has created a new sequence called raw edit.relinked01. And I'll just drag that. You don't have to, but for organization, I'll drag that over to my graded footage. And I'll name it graded edit. Okay, so now if we look at that in the sequence, you'll see that we're using the graded footage now. Darker, more saturated, graded footage, but all of our cuts have remained intact, and we have V2 is up there. We have our cross dissolves. So everything looks great. Now you can do whatever you want. You can, since we added those 2-second handles, you can make a clip longer for 2 seconds if you want to, or you know, I don't know. You have some room to play around with. So that's everything. I'm excited to get this out there. I'm going to win all sorts of awards because I'm such an aspiring filmmaker and editor. I mean, look at this great piece. And hopefully I've helped you along the way. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or if you have a better way of doing this. I'd like to hear that too because I'm still learning. So yeah, that's everything. Bye.